treat. I have known a woman of the day, Heather Havenwood. Now, do you usually go by your full name?
No, Heather Havenwood. It's fine.
Heather Havenwood.
Yeah.
So we were in a coaching program
Mm-hmm.
called Leap. And one thing that always
Yeah.
strikes me about you, Heather, number one, you have this striking beauty.
Oh,
It's like you have that energy. And Heather's always struck me as somebody who's fearless and very bold in, going after, in Leap is all about our business, right? Launching and creating
yes.
our big ticket coaching program. But you can really see that Heather was just she was fearless, she was bold in doing things. I remember one time you came to our coaching call. You said you were doing your 3-day live event.
Yeah.
You were not well. You were just pushing through it. I still remember that. That's such resilience. And then a
I heard
post
that.
a post popped up, and it was a very vulnerable post share. And then you began the post by saying you really, 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 really didn't want to um, post this right about it. And it's very vulnerable.
True. I
So,
didn't feel well.
but that really struck me.
Mm.
But I'm going to have you talk a little bit more about the journey, and that's really I want to, because I really think that there's a message in there that was so
Mm.
powerful that I said women need to hear this.
Mm.
And in a nutshell, Heather, you shared about you didn't find your health was in the right place and it didn't get better. No matter what you try, you were doing all the things that in your power that
Yeah.
you knew was the right thing to do. You would try to eat right, you try to double down on more physical exercises, but it didn't go the direction that you were hoping for. In fact, it kind of became worse. And it got
Yeah.
to a point so bad that you just felt that you were barely holding together physically and mentally and spiritually. So there was a shift,
Yeah.
you realized, and you
Yeah.
turned yourself around. And I remember those words, and that was so Heather, in my impression, is you fought yourself back physically, spiritually,
Yeah.
mentally, and in terms of energy as well. So, and
Yeah.
then there was one word you said, you realize that self-compassion
Mm.
was the medicine. And that was like, that need to be hung um,
Yes.
in a plaque by so many women. So I said, I
Yeah.
got to have Heather come on here. So
Oh.
this is the why. This is the
Yeah.
background. And I hope that's okay, Heather, for you
That's fine.
to share some of your your
Yeah.
discovery and share with a lot of women. So for all of you who are watching our conversation, if you feel drained and stuck and it just seems that nothing else is
Yeah.
working, this conversation is for you. This
Yeah.
conversation, particularly when you are approaching menopause in your 50s and your 60s. And then you are going to hear from this woman.
Yeah.
She is not settling,
No.
and she is willing to to not be dictated by the mainstream norm. But before I got to say this to you,
Yeah.
Heather is the author of multiple books. The
Yes.
latest one is called Engage Yourself, and
Yes.
she is the author of Sexy Boss,
Yes.
Female Empowerment.
Yes.
Oh, I love saying that. And she's also the author of The Fearless Method to Turn Knowledge into Income, Impact, and Influence. And she is a podcast host. Now, correct me if I got the
Yeah.
title wrong. It's called Heather Havenwood Uncage.
Yes. That's
Great.
yes. I
So,
just yeah, I'm going through my own transformation right now. So a lot of things are changing. So you got it right. That's
so
correct.
ladies, if you are ready, if you don't like your cage, if you feel you
Yeah.
have a cage, this conversation is for you.
Yeah.
I'm just so
Well,
excited.
we were born in, if you don't mind, you were born into a cage. I mean, I think that's been my big realization. It was hard to see it, right? I love the movie The Matrix just because it's a movie and you can see, but Neo in the movie talks about the Matrix, and if you're into that. And one weekend, I actually spent the entire weekend rewatching Matrix 1, 2, and 3. And I had AI next to me, and I was literally talking to AI on each of the scenes. It
So
was it was fascinating because there's all these little intricacies of the movie that we just think it's a scene, but there was actually like a message in there around really we were kind of born into a cage. I think it's just society. But then women were born into like another level, and that's been my uncaging. It's been my unraveling, and it's been a soul journey. It's been a wealth journey, but it's also been a body journey, of all the different things that we kind of hold in. So I could go down that road, but that's the Uncage Yourself book. Believe it or not, it was birthed during COVID, and I didn't think it would take that long, but it took like 3 years to create. And it's because I think what was happening was I was not really fully uncaged yet. So even though I was called to do the book, I didn't realize in my journey of writing the book and then after the book how much I was like unraveling my own cage. We have society's cage, like the world, and then we have like America, cage, and maybe that's where you grew up or not. I grew up here, but then I grew up in the Southern world. I grew up Southern Baptist. Then I had the church cage, and then I just had like my lineage of women in my family lineage cage. There's all these cages, and we don't even know we're in them. We just think we're like living our life and we're free because we're America. We're free. We're not free. There's so many cages, and a cage doesn't mean broke. It doesn't mean unhealthy. You could be living in a 6,000 square foot house with a beautiful Mercedes outside and your kid's going to $60,000 a year school, and you're in a marriage that feels like a cage. You're in a body that feels like a cage because it's a stuckness.
it's
And
interesting you say that. I grew up in Hong Kong.
Mm.
So you travel widely yourself. I think you can appreciate my point here is that when I came to the United States, particularly when I'm working, I admire so much about Western society, the culture, and Western women, their resilience. But it's interesting you mentioned the cage. Asian culture, Asian women, we have our own cage as well.
Yes, you have your own cages. Even though you moved to quote unquote America, you're still in your Asian culture cage. And even though Western women look uncaged, they're not. There's so much society undercurrent. And I think right now that's all coming to like the light. My view, I like to say, is kind of if you've ever done a home project, like you want to have a new kitchen, right? The way to have a new kitchen in your home, you have to literally destroy all the cabinets, all the tile, right? All the ceiling. You've got to literally destroy the old. Destroy it. It's not pretty. It's not nice. It's not sweet. It's a destroying. It's a crumbling so that you can actually resurface. You can put new tile down.
Takes a lot of courage, but also takes a lot of mindfulness as well. It's interesting you
Yes.
were talking about watching the Matrix movie.
Yeah.
I think your circumstances and your experience seems to have placed you with that higher level of mindfulness. That you're picking up the cues, you're seeing the messages. So with the context of being, first of all, being aware of the cage and cages that live in your mind,
Yes.
that shape your decisions and your behavior. If I might go back to when you were, from Florida, No, you are living in Florida right
I was
now.
living in Texas. I just moved to
Right,
Florida.
from
Yeah.
Texas and then to Florida.
Yeah.
What was the turning moment
Mm,
that you could remember
mm.
that restore you from almost total body crash
Yes.
to claiming your health and energy? What was that turning moment?
Yeah, so it was a pretty big turning moment. So in our life, we had these big turning moments. It was a big one. I was living in Austin, Texas. I lived in the best area of Austin and downtown and Barton Springs, if people are familiar. It's one of the most well-known and sought out areas to live. I lived there for almost 10 years. So now it's COVID, it's 2021. And we had this snowstorm. I use that with because if you go, it's a long story, but we had a snowstorm, an ice storm, and all of the pipes broke
Ooh.
in the wall. And my condo was built in the 80s, and you couldn't see them. I didn't know that they had broken. And about 2 months after this happened, I got really sick. I was literally to a point where I could not breathe. Everything was shutting down. So my lungs were shutting down, my nasal passages were shutting down, and I literally was like, and of course, this is during the COVID times where everyone's like, "You have COVID, COVID," and I knew it wasn't because I wasn't coughing. So there was actually someone I was on the phone with Clubhouse, and they said, you sound like you're living in black mold, like your body's shutting down.
Oh.
So I quickly got someone to come look, and they had said, like in one of the bathrooms, they're like, "Oh, this entire wall is mold." And this was like 2 months after that. So, I mean, black mold is scary. And so I was literally living in it, breathing in it, and it got really worse. And so I lived there for 10 years. This is at the height. This is, if you remember back in 2020, this is at the height of real estate. This is when, in Austin, you couldn't get an apartment. You couldn't get a home. Every home for sale was getting 10 or 15 offers in like 24 hours. It was like nuts. This is at the peak of that. And I was going through this massive soul searching already. And I did some psychedelics. I did a few ayahuasca and a bufo session. So I did a psychedelic, which is a mushroom, which is a spiritual journey.
Mhm.
I went through a spiritual journey with a shaman, in a shaman space and a ritual. And that's when I was shown to leave Austin, and it didn't make any sense. Like, this is where spirituality and logic can really take it like different. The logic, my whole family's there. I lived there for 12 years. Logic is go get an apartment or like go move somewhere else, right? And my spirit was like, you need to leave. Like, you need to leave. And I
Which one
put
do
my
you trust, right? Which one do you trust? Your logic
yeah,
or your
right. And it made no logic sense.
Mm-hmm.
And there was not like a job waiting for me somewhere else. Like, none of that was happening.
Mm.
And I'm sick. So you have to realize I'm sick. I have to put my 60-day notice in for my condo. I lived there for 12 years. I'm literally living in this mess, long story short. And then on top of that, I had to like release 10 years of stuff. So it was this cleansing and rebirthing. So my point is, I did trust it. I moved to St. Petersburg in Florida. And I realize now, looking back, of course, you can always see the journey why after, is that I came here to heal because I was really sick. I mean, I was sick because I couldn't breathe, but I didn't realize how emotionally, physically, and spiritually I was kind of dying. And I didn't realize that until like removed, myself from the entire situation, moved into an area. I knew no one. I knew no person. I knew one friend here, kind of like person I know online kind of thing. But I knew no one, and I had to find myself. I had to find who I was. What am I interested in? Who am I? And then this area is very healing. So I definitely went to the beach every chance I got. I still do that. Grounded myself, like started to really connect with my soul. And that was the beginning of my uncaging and allowing myself to be vulnerable, because my cage growing up was as in the Southern way. The Southern way was don't talk about it.
Mm.
If you got a problem, you don't talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
You do a therapy session, but you
Asian
don't
way
talk
too.
about it.
Asian way too.
Yeah, like don't talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's great.
Yeah. Suck it up.
Suck it up. Be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Don't share. No one wants to care. Yeah. So there's a lot of that happening. And it was in my body. And I think one of the things that I had to go through my own soul search and sovereignty search was to, and this is the movie The Matrix connection, is unplug. I had to unplug. I didn't realize how many things I was plugged into, if that makes sense. I was plugged into all these other people's worlds or coaching programs or whatever it was. I was like plugged into like all these others' viewpoints. And I had to like unplug. And as I started to unplug, literally, because when we're plugged into even a coaching program, we are plugged into that world.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Some are
Right.
amazing, but there's also some that are really toxic. And I was plugged into some really what I call toxic communities. They're not bad or wrong, but toxic for me. They weren't serving me. And so I was starting to unplug. But as you may realize, I know I realized fast, which was disheartening, is that here I am paying, let's call it a coach. I'm paying this person, okay, this guru, okay, I'm paying them, right? And then I meet you, and we are in the group. We're both paying this person, and then like I decide to leave the group. What happens? We're no longer friends. Like people like, oh, you're no longer in this group. And so friends were leaving. It wasn't just me stop paying for this person. I was all like, oh, you're no longer in the group. And I was losing friends over it. And that's where I started to really see how in many cases we're you know, there's a lot of cages. Think of it like if you're a mom, right? You're a mom and your kid is going to this Catholic school and it's $60,000 a year. And then something happens. You're like, hey, we can't pay that anymore. We
Mm-hmm.
need to move our kid to this school.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden the moms, and go have Friday night wine with every week for 5 years, all of a sudden are just gone. And that's kind of what happened. And I started to see who my true friends were, who are my people, who are not my people, who are just like in my world because I was paying this other person. And that's when I posted, like, why is it I have to pay this person for you and I to still be friends? What does that have to do with anything? Why do I have to line this person's pocket? But where else do we do that? We do that in our lives on every level. Universities, schools, if we're not paying this, then we're no longer part of this church, everywhere. So who are your people? So it was a really interesting soul uncaging of finding out who I was. Who am I without that university? Or who am I without that community? Who am I without that paying that person or that thing? Does that make sense? It was really this uncaging. Does that make sense? I look at
Absolutely. I think your analogy about remodeling the kitchen makes so much sense. I'm hearing many of the unplugging, shedding the layers,
yeah.
and it's not comfortable. But the more layer that you peel, and you use the word the turning point when you were called to connect with your soul. And then from that, it's a process. But I really think that God does not put you in the situation as uncomfortable as it is without giving you some power and ability to go through that process and emerge stronger, and it's in the name of your book, More Empowered.
Yes.
So this is a call from Heather to all of us listening, is to
Yeah.
be bold and don't be afraid
Mm.
to reconnect with your soul, because this is where the perfection is. You remind me about like your kid moves to another, you move to another house, then you lose all that the mommy friends from
Yeah.
that school. I remember I just finished a book called From Strength to Strength by
Mm.
uh, Brooks, Arthur Brooks. And in it, he described that most people have three types of friends. One type is deal, like making a deal friends, from business. And then a second type is interest friends, where you share common interest.
Yes.
And then really, the core is the perfect friends, who are with you not just because you share interest, not because you are making a deal. We need all three. We live in a modern
Yes.
society. We need all three, but we just need to be grateful and be grateful to the perfect friends, because they always want the best for you.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I'm
I
asking.
think that was the part of that, is that I didn't realize that. I didn't put those healthy boxes on the friendships. You know what I mean? And I was having a hard time finding, at that time, finding who I was. What's my voice? Because I was just matching the voice of the group, right? Whatever the group was. I was
We
just
all do that, right? You all
merge in. Yeah, we merge in. But like what I was noticing as I was doing that, because that's what I was told to do, be a good little Baptist girl, like, go to church and look the part, is that I was losing myself in that process. I was losing, who am I? What actually is my voice? If I'm constantly being a chameleon,
right.
you know? And what's so fascinating about this is men don't do that. Men don't do that as much. Men have ability to just have their voice, and they just take up space, and they can be who they are in multiple places, from the deal making to the baseball, whatever. Like, they
Mhm.
have this way to just, like, this is who I am. And they were taught that is in a way their cage, but they're taught that more than women.
Yes, research has been very clear. I was listening to a 2 hours interview on Jordan Peterson podcast with a autism expert from Cambridge University,
Yeah.
and the research is very clear between the men and women. Women tend to be stronger in affective empathy, the
Mm.
emotional connection, and men are stronger in cognitive empathy. So we need both. Now, what another thing that's really struck me is the journey you went through. Not only is a mental discovery journey, but also
Yes.
physical as well. In your
Yeah.
post, you described that because of the mold, you were exhausted all the time. You could hardly breathe. Um, and you didn't say that breathing part, but you did allude to the mold
Yes.
in your post. You were gaining weight, and
Yes.
you were doing everything that you knew was the right thing to do. You
Yeah.
were eating clean. You were doubling down on your physical activity.
Yep.
If 2 times a week was not enough, then you would do 3 times a week. You were spinning,
4 or 5
or
spinning.
but none of that worked
No.
until you it's almost like a yarn until you find the end, and that everything disentangle, and that is going inside and reconnect with your soul. And that's when you
Yeah.
gain your energy back, you gain your health, you gain your radiant, you look radiant.
Thank
I,
you.
you drop 40 pounds.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I think, as I said to my followers, my clients, no diet matters without self-love. And you use the word self-compassion.
Yeah. So just to give you the story, I come from the bodybuilding world. I've been on stages, I've been on bodybuilding stages for 5 years. I was I was in a business, a wellness business, where me and my fiance at the time, we were the epitome perfect bodies. He was the muscle man. We went to Gold's Gym every day for 5 days a week. I was in the business of looking good, at the time. Like, and so working out was my life. It was an identity. And then that broke up. And then what happened, 2021 happened. And so me all of a sudden gaining weight and not losing it didn't make sense, because I just went back to what I know: eating clean, broccoli and chicken, the bodybuilding diet, cycle, work out in the morning, all like everything that I know to do. And there's a combination happening. There was a soul resurgence. There was a soul sleep uncaging. My body was going through perimenopause and now menopause. Massive stress, where I moved to a whole new world. I don't know anybody. I'm trying to discover myself. And so in a business that was being recreated. So it was a triple, quadruple whammy, if you will.
Mhm.
And the thing I was working, I got involved with a HIIT class in the morning. It was, I did 8 a.m., 4 days a week. I went walking. I did a 75 hard, like all of it. Like I can't tell you how much. Now I did start working with, not a dietitian. I did start working with someone who did hormones, and what happened is I started doing my blood work every 60 days with them, which is a lot. And every 60 days to figure out what was happening. And here's what's crazy. So she was noticing that my cortisol was spiked, but it was just like constantly spiked. And so she said, "Are you doing HIIT classes?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm doing HIIT classes. I'm doing yoga." She's like, "Stop all of it." And I'm like, I mean, it's a pattern for me.
Mhm.
So I just was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Stop all of it. Go for a walk, walk. That's all I was allowed to do." And and I also got on things about my thyroid. I focused on a lot of different kinds of supplements. I've always been in supplements, but I reorganized my supplements.
You had once had a business.
I had a business that was a wellness business and supplements and bioidentical. So I wasn't, this was not new to me.
Mhm.
But I had to really allow myself to listen to my body,
Mm.
not the trainers, not the fitness world, not the workout world. I had to really listen to my body. So I allowed myself to stop doing the HIIT classes and all this. And I lost friends over it. Again, when you don't see people at the workout, you lose them, friends. So, and I dropped like 40 pounds. And so now I walk. I do a lot of walking. I walk my dog. I walk. I ground myself. I stretch. I'll do weights just to keep my strength.
Mhm.
But what's crazy is,
Mhm.
and I really focus on my thyroid. What's crazy is I started doing my blood work. My cortisol dropped. I'm talking dramatic. And when my cortisol dropped, I feel lighter. I dropped 40 pounds. It's like everything just kind of synced up. But that was the soul talking, right? Because my logic, my training by some of the best trainers in the world were like, no. The other thing I do, I just want to share it with you because I think it's really interesting. I I eat in the morning this very interesting combination. So it's chia. I put it together on the weekend. It's chia seeds. Okay, it's chia seeds, flax seeds, um, goat yogurt, collagen, creatine, and whey. And I put it in a jar. And I put in the fridge. And then I eat that. And chia seeds are amazing. Chia seeds are like, they just clear everything out and they help balance metabolism and cortisol.
Now, what do you mean by clearing everything out? Is like in your digestion
And
too?
then, yeah. So the way AI described it to me, chia seeds are kind of like little scrubbers. they just like they go through the intestines and scrub everything out and they cleanse it out because it's all in the gut and they cleanse out the gut healthy. So right, it's all about the gut and health and intestines and everything kind of clears out the pipe. So it's interesting to me, and I didn't know this, AI explained it to me, that one of the reasons why it's so healthy is that it's easy to digest, especially when the chia seeds are been soaked in water or yogurt or something, but it cleanses everything out, which also helps metabolize your body. And then it also helps with cravings. It helps with lower the
I'm
cortisol.
just going to ask you, how is your energy through the day?
Oh, good.
Good. So it helps you maintain your energy through the day. So you're listening to Heather. It's very high protein.
Yeah.
So almost every element that she mentioned is protein. So she start her day with a good amount of protein. You
Yes.
keep your energy up. You don't think about cravings because you feel genuinely satisfied. I love that.
Yeah.
Now, another thing that Heather didn't mention, and I'm going to mention it for her, is she made her first million in her 20s. And she has gone on to build multiple business that have made millions of dollars. But there's a point I want to make too. You, Heather, you are just achievement. You're just like you achieve. It's like you have the Midas touch. You touch this business, you achieve. You won awards. For a lot of interesting in my clients, I also work with a lot of successful women in my client. And
Yes.
one thing I realize is they are successful because they know how to solve problems. They know how to solve problems with logic and also with outsized willpower. But sometimes
Mm.
the logic and the willpower can lead to only so much.
Yes.
Sometimes can lead them away from the very thing that they need. They need a different path. So it makes sense to me. It makes sense. But it's very logical. You're a very high achieving person.
Yeah, but I had to let that go. I want to acknowledge that for a second. I feel like now the new path of achievement is the following. It's awaken, align, and ascend.
Ooh, that's a writer downer.
I think it's my new book, but it's because let me just put it against the old construct. We all know it, right? Visualize, take action, take multiple actions, push, force, hustle. Okay. We all know that one. The new energy on the planet energetically, that doesn't work anymore. It just doesn't. It just doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just doesn't. And I had a failure. I had a failure, but I still baptize it as success. But I had a crash, if you will, back in November. I was doing an event, virtual event, and I was pushing and I was doing ads and I was getting conversions and I was doing all the things. And then my sales were like bad. And I had to step back. I stepped back really hard. And I'm like, what happened? And I looked at the logic, right? And it was like, it looks fine. I just can see some things I tweak, but nothing to that point of just this catastrophe. Here's what I figured out, or I've realized. I was out of alignment with me. It's no longer me. And the energy on the planet shifted. It's out of alignment with what's working now. So it was like old view, it's like old view into new world, and it's not going to work. And I was out of alignment with the old. I just didn't want to let it go. It was like, oh no, this works. Because everyone else it works, it's got to work for me, So versus like, where's the new energy? Where's my alignment? So I had to awaken. I had to kind of awaken again, another level of soul. And then I had to go like, what's in alignment with me? Right? Which is, again, anti-logic. What are we taught in marketing? Well, what do people want? And give it to them, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Versus where's my alignment now? And where is other people's, like, what's the new energy on the planet? And then how can I help others ascend as I ascend too? versus the old construct is I'm going to use the word patriarchal because it's just easy to comprehend it, which is I'm the guru and I come down on you. Like that is the old construct we are trained in on multiple levels. But now it's ascension. It's like we all ascend together. Here, I'm going to give you some information. Here, I'm going to give you space and a container for community connection, collaboration. How can we all ascend together? And I think that's the difference. That's where I'm at.
You and I can talk about that for another 2 hours, just that part. So I'm kind of have been going through that this year as well. And also part of that is about my age too. I'm getting to the age where I am very much aware that, I don't have unlimited time.
Right.
So it gives you clarity is what do you want to do with your energy and your life?
Yeah.
So the notion of alignment, it all starts, Heather, you said it all starts from being connect with your soul, being awake, being aware, and being aligned. And I think so what I'm hearing is, this is very powerful, and listen to this, is you align, and when you align and aware your energy and you emit from your groundedness, you are going to attract who you attract. And that's going to be so much more powerful. I'm going through that as well myself. It's a work in progress. So after that, there's one question I have to ask you. You make your first million in your 20s.
Yeah.
Now, what advice would you give yourself back when you were in your 20s?
I ascended, but I fell really fast after that. I fell flat. I lost everything. It's not uncommon. People that make money really fast. Okay. You don't always hear about it, but you hear like later in life and things like that when they talk about it. Here's the thing. Think of it like a container. I was not prepared energetically to hold that, not just the like quote unquote money, the energy of it. Because when we really expand in money, when people have millions and millions and millions of dollars and they are connected to source, you can see how they have an ability to kind of hold the space and to navigate that world. The people that I was one of them, wasn't ready for it. I went up and I crashed. And then I did it again. This one was a little bit longer plateau and I crashed again. I was out of alignment in the making of it. I pushed and I forced and I had a partner and we did it, like boom, we did it, but that doesn't mean it was sustainable. So a good example of that in another world is in the bodybuilding world. The bodybuilding world I was in, I did IFBB pros and bikini shows and bodybuilding shows. And people look at people like that, even myself, on stage, and they're like, oh my God, your body is beautiful, perfect. What people don't understand is at that peak on stage, that moment where they're all greased up and tan, they are unhealthy. They are the most unhealthy possible. They're dehydrated. They haven't eaten in 72 hours. Most of the times they're mentally like wacko. And then they crash. And then the next year when they're off season, they blow up. Their body blows up and they get puffy and they get,
their hormones are talking back to them.
Exactly.
Anger.
That is not healthy.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing with money. We just work, and like, oh, I made it. And then it's like, I didn't understand LLCs. I didn't understand taxes. I didn't understand partnership. I didn't understand legal. I didn't understand what was going on with my partner. I didn't understand, like there was so much I just wasn't mature enough to hold that level of business. And I feel now I am in a whole nother level, not just around taxes and legal but there's like a capacity to hold it. And there's some biblical, and Jesus talks about in biblical about there is a high responsibility in wealth. There's a high level of responsibility because there's another level of energy, because money is energy, to hold that and to really be able to have that kind of circulation. People just look at it like, oh, well, you're wealthy, you get cars and stuff. Like, that's not wealth, really, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, here's one of the thing is I think I'm not the minority. A lot of women, and me too, counted, have a money story problem. Uh, really, to money is another standard, it's not a cage that can
Right.
define a person, or you can allow that to define your identity. Whether you're successful making money, uh,
Yeah.
but you really let it sink in a little bit. It took me a little while. Is Heather said, you said money is energy. So making money is that exchange of energy. But you have to be grounded and know where is your aligned energy, where are you
Yes.
operating from.
Yes.
And so a lot of times that is why, back in a more of an analogy of weight loss,
Yes.
I my point of view is I help women really recalibrate their metabolism so they can keep the weight off long term. So I rather not do the crash fast weight loss, like 20 pounds in 2 weeks. I can do that. I know how to do that, but I rather not to, because when you drop so much weight, your hormones are not are not healthy. So
Correct.
when you lose that strict diet, the weight come back and more because your metabolism is actually weaker. Then a fast weight loss becomes the slowest weight loss in the world. And I don't want women to go through that again and again.
Yeah, I remember this particular moment with my acupuncturist. This is back in 2015, where I was the peak of my shape, the whole thing. And I came into his office and he's like, wow, you look amazing. Like, wow. I was like, well, I work out 5 times a day, 4 times a week. I do the whole bodybuilding thing, whatever. I was like, you know what? I do look amazing. I'm about to go to a show in a week. I said, but I am the most unhealthy I've ever been. My energy was crashing. I was not having my period. It was all kinds of shit was happening. My body was achy. And he's like, well, you look amazing. I go, yeah, I'm literally the most unhealthy I've ever been right now. And I'll never forget that. And I started to realize that to live, that happens with money too, right? That lifestyle, like, oh, it looks good. It looks amazing. Ooh, up and down, up and down. They don't know what's going on in the background of their bodies. But that happens with people in money too, where it's like, oh, I made millions. Oh, I made, oh, blah, 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 blah. We don't know what's going on with that roller coaster. We just see the person on stage for 5 minutes. We just see that person that says, oh, I just did a launch and I made $2 million. Well, they don't know how much money the ad spin was. That happened a lot with virtual events. So my point is, I'm not dissing either one, by the way.
Yeah.
I had to just come to realization, if I really wanted true success for me, long term, like true wealth, true health, true abundance, true grounding, you have to get all three aligned. And in a way, I mean, I'm a Christian. Jesus talks about that, Buddha talks about that. Like, it's about alignment of it all. And I went to Egypt, just wanted to share real quick. One of the other moments in my life that was like definitely a big moment was when I went to Egypt. I went to Egypt in April of 2023. I knew I was spiritual. Had having a spiritual awakening. But when you go to Egypt and you go inside the king's chamber of the Great Pyramid, it's like my life changed. Who I was changed. How I saw the world change. There was a moment I walked in, and then when I walked out, it was incredible. I just was like, this world is different now.
But again, I want to point out, Heather, you allow yourself to receive the message. You allow yourself, you're open, you are mindful for that, right?
Mm,
Maybe 15 years ago, it might not have impacted you the
No.
same way, right? So when you walk, you said now you do a lot of walking.
Yes, a lot of walking.
How do you walk? I mean, do you literally? I mean,
Oh,
what do you look
intentionally.
at? What do you listen to things? How do you walk?
That's interesting. So I walk. I live downtown St. Pete, so I'm near the water. So I go towards the water as much as I can, and I have my dog. Um, I do listen to things. I do listen to a few things, but sometimes I'll listen to a lot of frequency music on Spotify. I listen to certain frequencies music, like
Frequency music, what's that?
I'll pull it up real quick because okay, so right, this one's on here right now. It's called I'm gonna say this wrong. Solfeggio, solfeggio frequency tone, 528 hertz is a big one. Yeah. So it's basically Hertz music because again,
Learn something new.
yeah, because again, let's say so I turned off all cable news 6 months ago. And for the first 2 months, I was literally like jonesing. It was like an addiction. And now I realize that TV programming, it's a program, it's a frequency. So if we're watching anything online, TV, necessarily news, it is pushing out a frequency and it's a low vibration. So no matter what was happening, I was receiving that.
Mm.
And so I was like, I need to change my frequency and sound. I believe in sound healing is so important. So sometimes I walk, I just listen to the frequency because what's happening is I'm just recalibrating my DNA.
I love that, recalibrating.
Yeah, just recalibrating, walking and recalibrating. And sometimes I'll listen to a podcast, but I'm very cognitive. I'm very, very, very cognitive to what I hear. I'm very cognitive to my surroundings because the energy, I'm an empath. So I kind of like, I'm a big sponge, even though I protect my energy field, just a big sponge. And so if there is negativity, it's not that I'm running from it, like, oh, I don't want to hear it. It's more like, I just don't want to put that into my energy field.
Mm.
That's how I look at it. I don't run from it. Some people are like, I don't want to hear it. It's more like, it's as far as the news, let's just put there for a second. I do what I call peeking. So I will go into certain apps during the day and kind of what I call look. I'm like, okay, what's going on? Okay. And then I'll close the book. And people don't do that. They just scroll and they get caught up in whatever's going on X, and they're like, wah! They just kind of go to this, and then people, wah! And I realized it was affecting me, and so now I call it peeking. I'll go into certain apps or certain news, whatever, and I'll kind of like open the door and I'll scroll and I'll see what's going on, and then I allow myself to close the book, and I just. Okay, that's what's happening. And honestly, if we really think about it, what's happening with the US government in this moment is not affecting us. We let it.
Good for you. I think it's what I'm hearing is you protect your energy.
Yes.
I think Heather, you are a very empathetic person. So other people, I use the word energy. Maybe I use the word too much, but it is. I can't find a better word. Other people, energy lodge in you. You absorb it like a sponge.
Yes.
I remember I went to a business conference for entrepreneur, and end of not last year, okay, 2023, in California. It was 1,000 people in the room. They were all sharing their success, and they went into spoon bending and sharing. But for some reasons, instead of coming out of the conference, gun ho, I'm going to do this. I'm going to launch this massive thing. I'm going to change things around. It took me a long time. I have to decompress. And I realized because it's just me, my makeup, I was absorbing all the crying, all that negative sharing. It's just me. All right. I'm not built for that. So next time I have to be careful going to that kind
That's
of
why I wear this. I wear tourmaline. I wear a lot of tourmaline.
conference anymore. So you have found a shift
Yeah.
that turned things around for you, health wise, energy wise,
Yeah.
radiance wise,
Thank you. Well,
emotionally, spiritually. How has that affected other areas of your life?
oh, it's I mean, in the morning, I do a lot of, I call it pitter pattering. So I learned something else about women that I found fascinating. So our society, again, a cage, our society was taught, wake up and you go to work, 8 a.m., you got to work till 5. If you look at I'm just going to go back for a second. If you look at the hormone cycle of men, okay, just a male's has a full cycle of their hormones every 24 hours. They peak in the morning, right? 6 or 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, they peak, and then they drop around 2 or 3 in the afternoon. Okay. And then it happens again like that. Now, women, we have a full cycle of 27 days. We don't have a 24-hour. In our 24-hour, believe it or not, we peak our testosterone peaks at 2 or 3 in the afternoon. So let's go to schools, our school system. Our school system is you pick up the kids at 7. And then what happens? You pick up the kids at 2 or 3, and that's when the moms kick in and do all the like running around and all the things, right, with the kids. Our testosterone as females kick in around 1 or 2 or 3 in the afternoon. That is when we kick in. Our morning, we are not supposed to be getting up. So I live next to a construction site now, literally. And these guys get here, a bunch of guys at 6 in the morning. And I just watch them. I'm just like, that's so fascinating that they're
They
at
have to
6
avoid the heat, right? They work outside. They have
outside. They're outside. It's hot. There's 6 o'clock, and they're banging, 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 banging. And I'm just like, I sit there with my coffee. I'm like, oh, look at
that's why
these
you don't see women banging, banging.
cute. Look at these cute men. They're just so cute. What would we do without these men banging away? But like I realize I'm not designed. So I allow myself to
Yeah.
pitter patter. So I actually get up at 6, but I pitter patter for like 3 hours.
Mhm.
Pitter patter. I meditate. I read. I drink my coffee. I pitter patter, pitter pat. I allow myself to pitter patter. If you actually listen, like talk to women, they all are like, "Oh, I do that too. I always feel so bad, and my husband's always getting mad at me because I just pitter patter." It's we are like pitter patter, ladies. That's your job in the morning. You just kind of get up and you just pitter patter. You just drink some coffee. Yeah, like you just pitter patter. You watch the men go crazy in the morning, getting up.
Give them the hammer. There
Yeah,
you
you're like, oh, look at that hammer. Go hammer. And I
go.
just so that's a big thing for me of allowing myself to tap into my feminine and my frequency. And sometimes I just take a nap in the middle of the day at 11.
Well, Heather, that's a form of self-care.
Yes. But
We
our society teaches you wake up at 8, you got to work till 5. Yeah.
yeah.
It's like, what if not? What if not? I mean, these guys are here till 4 in the afternoon. They've been here since 5, hammering away. And I look at them, they're happy as a clam. They're like, look at that, they're clamming. I mean, I just stare like they're clamming away. They're happy as hell. Women, like, that's not who we are. And I can acknowledge that. I'm like, oh, that's so cute. This building would not be built without you guys.
I want to add to that. I'm glad you mentioned about the news. You kind of peek at the news. I teach women that your first thing when you wake up, you have to imagine your wellness is a bank. Don't make withdrawal from your bank. You put deposit in your
Yes.
bank. I once heard a
I love
a financial planner, and he's the author of the book called Automatic Millionaire. And he
that.
talks basically in financial terms, like the first 3 hours of your working day, you need to put money, that first 3 hours of your income in your own 401k. That's how you become an automatic millionaire. And the same thing works for our wellness as well.
Yes.
And that includes, if you imagine your mind is a cup of coffee, you don't let people just walk by and put sugar and put salt in your coffee. You got your coffee. So in my recommendation is I tell my clients not to open your cell phone, not
No,
because once you open your cell phone, you're letting the world dictate the agenda on your coffee.
that's right.
You do your thing. You walk with your dog. You do your exercise. You meditate. You serve yourself a nice high protein breakfast. Only when you put money in your bank, that's how you become
Yes.
an automatic millionaire.
I don't, yeah, I don't go to my phone.
Yeah, then you can go to phone. And people say, I can send you an email. You know what? You can train your business partner, your clients, train them that they cannot find you after,
Yeah.
before whatever the time that you dictate. Your clients just would not be able to find you. Your text.
Yeah, I think that's another cage that we're taught, especially as women, to be on all the time, to be available all the time. And I don't have kids, so I can understand it. I see my girlfriends going through it, but I'm like, you have to turn off. And
Yeah.
that's that pitter patter where I wake up and I'm doing nothing. I'm just like letting my body, I'll sit, I'll spiritual read, I'll listen to some frequency music, I'll just sit, I align, I say affirmations, I drink my coffee. This is what I do. If you look at my house, what I'm doing at 5 in the morning, that's what I do. And but my society, my little, the society logic brain is like, you need to get up and work.
We value productivity in the United States. It's a badge of honor. I mean,
Yes.
everybody wearing a Apple Watch is like, okay, text me, I'm available. My attention span is for you. I don't think so. So I can talk to you for 3, 4 hours, Heather. You're just amazing. I'm just
Oh,
sitting
thank
here
you.
listening. But I want to wrap this up with you
Okay.
telling those women going through menopause or postmenopause in the 50s and the 60s,
Yes.
they feel stuck, they feel drained, and they have tried everything, and the body doesn't seem to respond the way
Yeah.
it used to. What is your advice to them?
Well, it's here's the truth. It's not even about the weight or the body. The body is not only reacting to, let's call it menopause, you are changing everything. You're going to have to change everything because you are no longer that person. So I had to change how I viewed the world. I had to change my soul, how I spiritually connect with the world. I changed my business because I'm no longer that 40-year-old. I'm not even like, I'm not the same person. So, yes, I changed how I work out. Yes, I changed a little bit things on food. Yes, but I changed who I was. And I think that's the big thing, is that's why you see so many women. There's a stat. There's so many women when they turn 50, huge divorce rate. That's a symptom, right, of the change. Career moves, because they realize they can't just keep going the train, because it's not just about the body. The body is literally waking up to a new you. There's a guy online, I don't know his name, and I just love what he was saying. He talked about that if you think about why women go through menopause, and this is globally, like as women, why? Because he talked about how, what is that stage for women? It's actually the wisdom stage. This is when we become wise. It
Mhm,
is our, almost in a weird way, to be our duty to be the wise
mhm,
ones, the grandmothers, the wisdom, and to become wealthy from our from our wisdom. It's no longer protected of child, growing children. We're not dead. I know our society is like, oh, you're menopause, throw you out to the pasture. No, actually, we are the holders of the wisdom on the planet. It's actually through this change we become the wise ones to the world, to men, to to different generations. And it's our time to be wealthy from that wisdom. So going back to that, uh, yeah, I think that that's why I had to get to this is less about me not having a period and me turning 50. This is about massive change of who I am on the planet and my role.
So the radiance, the vitality, the vibrancy that you have always been, it's still in you.
Yes.
What you're saying is that you might be feeling drained, you might be gaining weight, your relationship at home might not be going well, you might not be the sharp person, you think you're not anymore at work in your career. You
Right.
don't have 4 problems, you don't have 5 problems. You only have one source, root situation, and that is you need to acknowledge and be aware and reconnect a little differently. And all those physical weight problem, emotional problem will line up.
Yes.
That's what the message from Heather. Heather, usually my vibrancy Tuesday, it's
Right.
bless you. It's about 15, 20 minutes. We have talked for an hour.
Oh, let me talk forever. Sorry.
We had
Yeah.
so much fun.
Thank you.
So when people want to connect with you, where can they find you?
So yeah, I can give you my book for free, my Uncage Yourself book for free. Go to Heather's. Is it Heather's? Yeah, heathersfreebook.com. heathersfreebook.com. Let's make sure that's right. Um, heathersfreebook.com. And if you go there, you can get a free copy of my book, Uncage Yourself. And I'm also,
Freebooks.com.
yep, Heathers with an S.
Mhm.
Heathersfreebook.com.
It's one word.
Yeah. Heathersfreebook.com.
Okay, I hope you all, pay attention and take
Yeah.
advantage of that. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Heather, I thank you so much. I
Oh, thank
enjoyed
you.
myself. I hope you enjoy yourself.
I
I
did.
enjoy talking to you.
Thank
And,
you.
and then, by the way, when I read your post, you said that some women had some comment about you showing off your body. But I see
Yeah.
that I felt so happy for you. I felt it's a post of celebration of you figure it out, you decoded it. It was really a recognition of the
Yeah, it was a decoding. The body is just a representation of the process.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, but what's been changing is my spirit's been shifted, my mindset has shifted, my energy has shifted. The other one thing that I did go do, I want to put that up before I leave. I did a massive clearing of things in my life. I wouldn't say a minimalism, but I'm damn close that I have. I
Mhm.
released and released and released and released and let go and went through every single box from the past. And I let go of my grandma's stuff and my mom's stuff. And
Mm.
I mean, I purged the past.
Sounds very freeing.
And I think that's another piece is like we want to hold on to that memory, but I'm like, is that memory serving you right now? It's like let it go.
Mhm.
Because the more things we have to hold those things up. It's like energy field.
Yeah. So is that the right wait. Hang on.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Is that the right
Yes.
Is that
Yes.
the right one?
Yeah.
Heathersfreebook.com.
Yeah.
Okay. So go check out Heather's. Go listen to her podcast. Follow her.
Right.
You are going to find that you will see amazing results spiritually, health wise, in your body, because what's more important is really finding the best medicine in the world, and that is self love and self compassion
Yeah.
through awareness. And thank you so much for joining in our conversation.
Thank you.
I had so much fun. I hope we can chat again.
Yes.
And thank you, Heather. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.